Okay, let's start throwing some toolpaths at this thing. So, like I said before, kind of want to start with the outermost features. So I'll start by facing it and then going after these notches at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a facing toolpath. I'm going to go to wireframe selection, and then if you read the message, it says select OK to use define stock. So I don't actually need to choose any geometry. I can just select OK. So green check. I'm going to use tool number 1, 1/2 inch flat end mill. I'll use one-way cutting method, and you can see the parameters here. If you use my configuration file, you should have all this standard. Alright, no depth cuts. Linking is going to be absolute 0 for the depth. Nice thing about DWO versus center of rotation, we don't have to do all those crazy retracts and Z manipulations. Alright, so any of this other stuff, check the coolant. Coolant's on. Green check. Alright, there's my facing toolpath. Now I'll go for this notch right here. So I'll use a contour for that. And I'm going to go to single edge selection. Select this edge going that way, and this edge going that way for Klein milling. Green check. For the tool, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch flat end mill. Tool number 2, and I'll use wear compensation. My lead in, lead out. So we still kind of have the raw stock, right? So we need to sort of extend the tool path. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust. I'm going to extend it, I'll say 50%. Alright. And then multi-passes. This is my default right here, is just adding a spring pass basically. So I'll leave it at that. The gap right there is only about 7/16, so one pass on each wall with the 1/4 inch end mill will take care of it. And then linking parameters is already got my depth because I chose the edge at the depth that I wanted, so I don't need to mess with any of that. Coolant's on. Green check. Now I'll come over here, this notch here on the side. Again, I'm going to do another contour. Grab this edge in this direction for Klein milling. Check. I'm going to keep the same tool, 1/4 inch flat end mill. Wear compensation. Leave all the lead in, lead out stuff the same. I'm going to add some multi-passes this time though. So I'm going to do 7 passes at 50 thousandths and 1 spring pass. Alright, my linking depth is 433. And coolant is on. Green check. So do back plot on that real fast. Yeah, so my first pass is starting to machine the stock. It works its way in. Alright, I like that. Okay. Now, probably gonna start working on this back face. So I'll give it a save real quick. Couple things to note real quick before we continue on. If you do a back plot, so for me I like to have they call it quick verify. That's the little orange that you see right there showing you the toolpaths. That's this button right here, simple verify, on the back plot. And also, if you select to show the holder, that's the one really nice thing about this tool database file that I provided. And special thanks to the first semester students who got that all dialed in. But it's the actual holders that are in the machine with the proper stick out and cutting length of the tools. So that's good for that. So we can, but now that I just looked at that toolpath, that tool doesn't seem to be right. That cutting length right there on that tool seems to be too short. So let's go ahead and check that real quick. Go to parameters, go to my tool page, double click on the tool, and cutting length for some reason is 0.375. Should be half an inch. So I'm going to change that. 5. Finish. Update assembly and all operations that use that assembly. Green check. Green check. Regenerate dirty operations. And then we'll go ahead and look at that again. That looks better. Now I've actually got the flute length to cut my notch out right there. Do a verify real quick just to I'm going to go ahead and select workpiece. It's going to show me all of these parts of the machine, so when we start rotating it around we can look for collisions. Play that. Okay. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and minimize these toolpaths. Create a new toolpath group. C90. Gonna work on this face right here. So let's go grab our plane right there. So we're gonna have to move all our planes right to meet up with our B0C0. So hit the little mouse pointer button, Hover it right where that other one was, and you should get the little Origin logo pop up. And so click right there. And then make the B90, C90, BRC, and RT. Just for viewing, I want to know what my C-plane is. I know where the WCS is, so I'm just going to show that. And then I'll probably hide the UMC trunnion because that's going to kind of get in the way. So back to levels. Like that. And then I should mention too that you don't necessarily have to program this part exactly the way I do it, but leave that up to you. You do need to use the tools though that we have in the machine, so no changing or adding tools. Alright, so there's gonna be some toolpaths that are gonna need some geometry that the solid is just not going to give us. So I'm going to just create some wireframe geometry for this orientation, this face. Go to levels. I'm going to create a new level. Call it level 20. And I'll say B90, C90. Wireframe. Alright, that'll be my current level. Alright, go to my home tab. I'm going to change, I'm going to get some red wireframe here. Start with a basically just want the geometry around the perimeter of the part. So if I go to wireframe and choose silhouette boundary, and then it's going to tell me select on the body, so select the model end selection and green check. There it is right there. Just go ahead and hold the shift key, select on any part of that wireframe we just created, and then click on it and transform, translate. I'm going to move that up in Z.25, so it's kind of at the top of the face there. Get all of it. So grab the rest of it, do the same thing. So now I'm going to start with basically facing this surface, but I'm not going to use a facing toolpath. I'm going to use a contour because I don't want it to, I don't have to worry about, I can control it better how close it gets to the vise. Choose my wireframe. single wireframe entity, and I'm going to select that line in that direction. I'm going to go ahead and grab that 2-inch insert mill. And I'm going to go ahead and go with 3000 on the surface speed. And I'm going to go with 4 thousandths on the chip load. Plunge rate will be 60. Rapid retract. Alright. Cut parameters, wear compensation. I'm going to tell it on stock to leave on walls. I'm going to say minus 0.200. So it's going to make it go past the geometry I selected and get closer to the vise, but there's a little over 300 thousandths clearance there, so give us some room later when we use the small tool to get that little cutout and the tab. Okay, so I'm going to use depth cuts as well, and my max rough step will be 50 thousandths, and I want to do one finish on the floor, 5 thousandths. Lead in, lead out. I'm going to change the extension to just 25% of the tool. It's a bigger tool, so smaller percentage, just to, you know, get us, since that geometry doesn't extend to the stock, so that'll help us get a nice straight line across there. Multi passes, do 2 of them at 1.5, and I do not need a spring pass. And then my finish passes need to be at all depths. Alright, so linking parameters, top of stock is 0.25. My depth is 0.1875. And coolant should be on. Green check. Alright. Looks good there. Save that. Hide it. Okay. I don't really like the way this wireframe is floating in the air there, so I'm going to go ahead and just move it down to be in line with the surface. So hold the shift key, click on a part of it, and transform, translate. It's going to be minus 0.625 in Z. Alright. And then maybe red wasn't the right color, since that's the color of the silhouette stock. So if you want to change that, you can do the same thing. Hold the shift key to select it all, go to the home tab, and you can change it, color of it. This is your wireframe, solid and surfaces, so you can change colors there. Now that I changed it to blue, now the next wireframe I create is still going to be red, right, unless I change it right now. Let's see, now if I create something new, now it'll be blue. So that's how that works. So yeah, regenerate doesn't affect anything because we used absolute on our Z's, so that's still good. So now we're gonna get these sides of the part. So I'll start with this side over here, and I'm going to go back to another contour. Oh, one thing before we do that, we should make sure we got our planes correct. That's something we didn't look at. Planes. So WCS should be the B0C0, and the tool plane and construction plane are the B90C90. Alright, so make sure you have that. Again, you can check it here as well. WCS, CNT on the correct planes. Alright, so the contour. I'll use a single wireframe entity. Check. I'll go back to the 1/4" flat end mill. Cut parameters where. I'm going to change my stock to leave on walls back to 0. And depth cuts, I don't need them. Lead in, lead out. I'll go ahead and leave that as it is. Multi-passes, I'm going to keep 2 at 25 thousandths, and I'm going to go with 1 spring pass. All depths versus final depth doesn't really matter since I'm not using depth cuts. And my linking parameters, actually I want that to go all the way down. Get the whole piece of stock, not leave like a little flange down there. So I'm going to go minus 250 would be to the bottom, so I'll go a little bit deeper than that. I'll go minus 0.275. Since I already cut 62 off the top, I can go down an extra 25 and I still have the flute length for that, so that's no problem. And planes are correct. Coolant is on, green check. Alright, let's go ahead and hit the other side now. Go with another contour. I'm going to select this edge. I'm going to do the partial chain. I'll start with this line, and I'm going to end with this line here. Alright. Tool is going to be the 1/4" again. Cut parameters where, and lead in, lead out. Change that to 50% and no adjustment on the beginning. Multi-passes, I'm going to do 10 passes at 50 thousandths, 1 spring pass. And my linking parameters, say minus 0.275 on the Z. Coolant's on, and that looks good. Now I didn't continue this on to here because then it would have made all these multi-passes like way out here, cutting air, and so cutting air is a waste of time, so I didn't do that. So now I'll add another contour just to hit that little edge right there. So contour, single entity, get that line right there. Check, same tool, same cut parameters. Take off the adjustment, I don't need that. Multi-passes, I'm just going to go 2 at 25 with 1 spring pass. Same linking parameters, minus minus 0.275. That's good right there. Then I just need to come back with a remachining, because if I analyze that corner, it's got a radius of 0.1, which is a little bit smaller than my 1/4 inch end mill. So I'll come back and remachine it with the 1/8. So contour again, select there to there. Alright, it's not going to do the whole thing. We're going to tell it to remachine. So it's going to calculate what the 1/4 inch could not reach, and it'll make the 1/8 inch end mill just do that. So green check that and find the 1/8 end mill. It's going to be tool number 5 with the 3/8 length of cut. Cut parameters is going to be where, and over here under contour type it's going to be remachining, and we're going to say the roughing tool was 0.25 diameter. I'm going to change this to 1%, and this to 20. Okay, lead in, lead out, multi-pass, I don't need that. Actually, let's see, click depth, click right there. So let's say minus 0.1. Green check. Second thought, I think I'll add a spring pass to that last one. So yeah, multi-pass, we'll go with 1. Doesn't want to give me the spring pass. That spring pass is grayed out. Just go like that. Let's see what it does. 1, 2. There we go. Alright, so it's a good start. Save it. Run a verify real quick, see how we're looking. Alright, so far so good. See you in the next video.